The 2016-2018 Triumph Street Twin. The Triumph Bonneville line has underwent numerous redesigns over the years, but always kept that classic British flavour and dated panache that is both aesthetically pleasing and rooted in its own past. The Bonneville Street Twin joined Triumph's new in 2016 Modern Classics group that includes the Bonneville T120 family and the Thruxton R. Today, I want to take a look at the Street Twin and see how well Trumpet did in upholding the reputation of the venerable Bonnie line. Continue reading for my review of the Triumph Street Twin. Design, sort of a UJM and sort of a bobber, it enhash 039's something that is easily customized, no matter what style of bikes you prefer. If you are old enough to legally ride street bikes, chances are pretty good that you've heard of the Triumph Bonneville family. Originally released in 1959, the Bonnie quickly became popular with speedsters in the US and abroad, and it inspired numerous incarnations spanning decades. Technically, the Street Twin falls within the standard classification, and shares an overall look similar to the 60s UJM, so perhaps I should call it a UBM? I could also make an argument for labeling this ride a sort of a bobber, since there is very little in the way of unnecessary or extraneous components in evidence. Trumpet complicates this further by offering 3 separate accessory packages, what the factory calls its inspiration kits, that take the Street Twin into some decidedly niche directions. While the base model displays a generally classic look, the kits strive for a specific style and timeframe. First up is the Scrambler Kit, not to be confused with the Scrambler proper, which is a standalone model. This kit comes with straight-back 2-in-1 header pipes and a horizontally mounted Vance & Hines muffler, along with an embossed, tuck-and-roll bench seat to give your Street Twin a decidedly Scrambler flavor. Next, we have the Brat Tracker that comes with true dual exhaust, upswept mufflers and a black bench seat. The last kit is the Urban, and it isn't so much a particular niche or model as much as a reflection of a general, owner-modified design that includes an upswept exhaust, offset pillion saddle, saddlebags and bikini screen above the headlamp. As much as I like the other versions, the Urban stands out as the most practical commuter off the floor due to the bag space, however limited. The others, well, just look really cool. All of the Street Twin models come with blackout rims, fork sliders, engines and side covers. For that old-school custom finish chassis, the factory finds a nice middle ground between stability and agility. A double downtube, double cradle frame welded up from tubular steel members serves as the bones, and a traditional, yoke-style steel swingarm finishes the skeleton. The steering head angle of 25.1 degrees leaves us with 4 inches of trail, a nice middle ground between stability and agility. At 29.5 inches tall, the Street Twin seat height should be manageable for most riders out there, and at 437 pounds dry you don't have to have legs like an Olympic runner to control it at dead slow speeds. Blackout aluminum rims mount the 18-inch front, and 17-inch rear hoops, as well as the wheel speed sensors that feed data to the ABS and traction control system, but I must confess that I think laced wheels would look better, and be more in keeping with the old-school appeal of the rest of the bike. A set of Kayaba 41mm forks up front, and twin rear shocks, also from Kayaba, provide 4.72 inches of travel all around. The front forks come sans adjustments, but the rear shocks offer the typical, spring preload adjustment, so at least you can dial in for changing cargo and passenger loads. Twin pot Nissan calipers bind both the 310mm front disc, and the 255mm rear, and ABS protection comes standard. Drivetrain, Triumph and #039's engineers built a brand new engine to drive this brand new ride, and spent considerable R&D resources to bump up the power output. Triumph's engineers built a brand new engine to drive this brand new ride, and spent considerable R&D resources to bump up the power output. They wound up with a water-cooled, 900cc lump sporting 8-valve heads in the classic, parallel twin configuration. Thankfully, Triumph long ago abandoned the Twingle crankshaft with its 180-degree offset, and instead used a 270-degree crank in this new mill. The 84.6mm bore and 80mm stroke leaves the engine slightly over square, and while the fuel-injected throttle bodies lack the charm of the old carburetors, I have to admit they look better than most throttle bodies available today. Now for the proof in the performance numbers pudding. Trumpet boosted the grunt numbers by 18% over the previous generation for a total of 59 pound-feet of torque at 3,230 revolutions per minute. It also cranks out 55 ponies, but you have to wind it up to 5,900 revolutions per minute to wring the max horsepower out. Not one to deliver uncontrollable power, Triumph gifted the Street Twin with ride-by-wire throttle control that enables its traction control system that reduces power output when it detects a wheel speed differential between the front and rear tires. Great for maintaining traction, not so much for burnouts, but you don't get to have it both ways, yeah? The factory didn't stop there with the traction protection, oh no. In addition to the above, a slipper clutch provides an easy clutch lever pull while prevent wheel hop when aggressively downshifting to scrub off speed ahead of a curve. I have to say that safety doodads are no substitute for skill, but a full complement of traction control can help you safely find the edge of the envelope without undue risk. A 5-speed transmixer crunches the ratios, and sends power to the rear wheel via an X-ring chain. Price. MSRP hangs right around $9,000 and gives you a whole lot of bike for the money. There aren't that many small bikes out there with the traction control trinity, which is to say, ABS, throttle moderation and slipper clutch, and even fewer under 10 grand, so I am pleasantly surprised to see the $9,100 MSRP on the base Street Twin. In my opinion, this is a whole lot of bike for the price, overall size and engine displacement notwithstanding. Competitors. The Iron 883 and the Street Twin are like two sides of the same coin, and the main differences are a reflection of the different bike cultures on each side of the pond. While looking for a competitor, I considered the Bolt from Yamaha. It shows a similar profile, comparable price and build, and would appeal to much the same sort of buyer. However, given Triumph's long history, I decided just doesn't have the roots for such a comparison, so I instead looked to the Iron 883 Sportster from Harley-Davidson for my head-to-head. The Iron 883 and the Street Twin are like two sides of the same coin, and the main differences are a reflection of the different bike cultures on each side of the pond. Blackout components, fork gaiters and cast rims are consistent across the board, as is the low stance and compact, midsize overall package. Honestly, the main aesthetic points to choose between the two are entirely based on Britishness versus Americana, circa 1960s and 70s. As the devilishly clever name suggests, an 883cc V-twin drives the Iron and cranks out 53.8 pounds of grunt at 3,750 revolutions per minute, less torque and at a higher RPM than the Street Twin with 59 pound-feet at 3,230 revolutions per minute. Not a big difference, but a difference nonetheless. Triumph piles on with traction control and a slipper clutch, features HD has yet to incorporate on any of its bikes, let alone those in the lower price brackets. I happen to know just how good the Evo Sporty engine is, and that it enjoys a long, successful track record, but it really takes a beating against this Trumpet mill based on features alone. Only time will tell if the new Triumph engine will have the same staying power as the 883 that has been running the road since 1986. I would be remiss if I didn't mention to Harley that they are falling behind on certain features, and it's going to bite them in the butt if they don't get on board, and that right soon. At the sticker, these two competitors seem to be backed up against the same wall. Harley lets the Iron go for $8,999, just a skosh under the $9,100 Street Twin, which is close enough on paper, but when you consider some of the features on the Triumph, the price on the Sporty starts to look a trifle high as far as price versus value goes. He said, "I've said it before, I really like Triumph, especially their older models, and I love that they remain faithful to their roots. Though I am, more or less, a dyed-in-the-wool Harley fan, if I were looking for a new bike like this, I would have to take a serious look, even a test drive on the Street Twin before I could make up my mind between this and a Sporty for sure. Kudos Triumph, I don't get to say that every day." She said. My wife and fellow writer, Alan Hinton, says, "I really like these all-new designed Bonnevilles. The Street Twin might not have as much power as some of the older designs, but you get more of that power in the mid-range where you do most of your riding. Torque comes on early at 3,200 revolutions per minute. I like to feel the grunt without having to wind it up as tight as Dick's handband. For the price, there are plenty of tech acronyms that you usually see in higher-priced bikes. I'm glad to see the gearbox isn't clunky like some of its predecessors." Specifications. References. Harley-Davidson Iron 883. See our review of the Harley-Davidson Iron 883. Yamaha Bolt. See you review of the Yamaha Bolt.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.